Let's see who's here, and obviously we want to hear from our farmers that are helping as well, and then we can dig into the PowerPoint that I have for everyone. So I guess we could do your name, your farm or your organization, and what is your favorite farmers market item? Do a little icebreaker. So we'll go ahead and start with Steve.
All right, I'm Steve Mallory. My wife and I have Hope Farms and Studio. I'm the farmer and she's the artist. We grow all kinds of vegetables and flowers and plants that we dye fabric with. And that's the art part of it. And then we probably the best thing to sell at the farmer's market is what I like to sell is our flowers. They give the biggest pop on your table, I think. But that's about it.
Merle, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure my mic's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, I'm Merle Stolzfus. I own Green Pasture Farm and Hatchery in Chucky. We do a little bit of everything, I guess, here at our farm, and then we sell our produce and stuff that we grow at farmers markets. This year we do doing a little bit of flowers, hanging baskets, and so forth. As far as one of the favorite items at the market, it's probably, I don't know if I can pick just one, probably the lettuce and tomatoes. That's kind of my main crops, I guess, that I grow. So those two items in particular.
Great. Thanks. Pat, do you want to go ahead? If you're in a capacity, I don't know. She might be. It's okay. We'll move on to Becca. Kat, if you want to hop in, please do.
I totally thought you said Pat. I'm sorry. Hi, good morning. I'm Kat with Appalachia. We don't necessarily sell like in a farmer's market capacity, so we don't like sell things, but we're really there for promotion for the herb school. We do a free tea bag making, which is a lot of fun, and occasionally we do have products for sale that are student made, so that's a lot of fun, but that's not every time, and we tend to do that Irwin Farmers Market.
Awesome. And Becca?
Hey. Sorry, one second. Hey, my name is Becca Blevins. We've got Mott and Bailey Farm. I am sitting out here with my two kids, so they're joining the call too. Yeah, so Becca, Mott and Bailey. This is our first year as like full-time growers. We'll be at the Johnson City Farmers Market. And because we've not sold at the market yet, I don't know what our best item is. But my personal favorite thing to buy at the farmer's market is a nice bouquet of flowers. It just feels so special, and it just feels like a nice little treat, like just for myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so I obviously am, not a farmer or anything like that, but I would honestly say one of my favorite items is, and I know all of you on here, so that's why I was like, I'm doing an introduction, but my favorite item is definitely, I love a good flower bouquet from the farmer's market. But I don't know. I love the different mushroom varieties. It just depends. I really like talking to the farmer and seeing like kind of what lights them up, and then I'm like, oh, sold, like you got me, and I'll like purchase anything. So okay, well, we'll dive in. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Emily, did you want to share anything?
No, it's all good. I like to impulse buy at the farmer's market with carrots.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful beets, beautiful radishes, things that are glowing with color.
Yeah.
Things that are glowing with color, I think,
Yeah.
catch me in particular.
Okay. So we'll just go through, and Merle and Steve, we're just gonna kind of like, ping pong back and forth. I've developed this just to kind of keep us on track. But this is very conversational. Becca and Kat, if you have any questions throughout this, definitely chime in. Do your little raised hand on the Zoom if you can, and we'll do that, or put it in the chat. We can talk about it at the end. Because I want to set aside some time in the end to look at some of those photos that were sent. So, but yeah. So this is what we're going to focus on today. Booth design, layout, signage and branding, visual appeal, cleanliness and organization, customer engagement and experience, and then social media. So we'll dive right into the first set of questions. So this is in regards to booth design and layout. What are the most important elements to consider when designing a visually appealing and functional booth? Steve, go.
I think you have to make it look that you have an appearance of abundance. You may not have 50 pounds of tomatoes, but let's make that display look like you have 50 pounds of tomatoes. So you may have to dummy things up to make them look bigger. We use a lot of stair stepping. In this picture is a set of wooden stairs that we raise it up higher than the table. We don't nothing's flat. Everything is raised up and vertical. You want to go vertical, I think, more than anything. And that's the biggest thing that we look at. Make it high, the old adage is pile it high, watch it fly. Well, making it look vertical is a way to make it look like you've piled it real high, especially as a small farm.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Merle?
Steve just took a lot of my words out of my mouth, but that's fine. So yeah, that thing of stacking it high, watch it fly, stack it low, it won't go, or something like that. So I was in retail, or it was my dad's store in Kentucky. So some of those tips I got from there as well, from our salesman there. It was a bulk food store. So and another thing is just color, the colors. So the colors of your different products, I try to mix that up as much as I can. Not have the same color items right side by side if possible. Yeah, just well, I use the crates as well to stack it a couple layers high. That has really worked for me. And I got that idea from some other farmers that I was watching online and so forth, and just loved the idea and kind of going with it ever since. And it has worked well for me.
Awesome. And Merle, we'll just keep on you for this next one. How do you create a layout that encourages customer flow and interaction?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I mean, sometimes it can maybe be a little bit of a struggle. I try to have where the people check out at one end, and that kind of depends on your size of booth as well. I usually have a 10 by 20 so I can stretch out a little bit more, but just to try to keep the checkout at one end, so customers can go through and grab their items and then come to the one end to check out. That has seemed to work fairly well for me. And farmers markets is one of those things that it seems, yeah, if there's a line, I try to put them through as fast as I can, but the customers are not usually just super rushed. So I found out that they seem to be fairly patient with that, even though I want to keep that flowing as much as I can.
Awesome. Steve, do you have anything to
Well, just as far as flow goes, we have everything that's makes it easy to reach and uh, touch and smell, and all the pricing's easy to see, so that they can make up their mind, and um, just make it, like I said, make it easier for them to see everything that we have, and we try to push it as close to the front of our tent as we can, depending on how the sun is. So it makes it easier. They don't get cramped up inside the tent, especially, after COVID, we wanted to keep everything kind of out in the open and not get everybody close together.
I'll jump in for me as a customer and my psychology. I think that's a great point. I will not wander under a booth. I will not go into a booth, especially if I can't see what the product is or a price. It's like, it's asking a lot of me personally as Emily to come into your dark tent space and see it. But if the booth is on the outside, I'm drawn in a lot easier.
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. I'm gonna be like so much more hyper focused now with the markets. I'm gonna be like, do I go in? Do I not? I don't know. So I think this next one we answered, but if anyone has anything more to add, it basically talks about using vertical space effectively. So I think we covered that, but please, if you have anything else to add, Merle or Steve, let us know.
Like I said, vertical space is great. If you look at, if you want to see really good vertical, when you look at Merle's displays, with his boxes, it's perfect space. And I was in the grocery business for a number of years, and retail for a lot of years. And so you would place like items together, things that would go together. And then you kept it going up and down. You didn't have anything on the ground. Don't ever put your food on the ground. Other than a health violation, it doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a whole lot to add, but yeah, just if you can stack it like that and just instead of having one layer, I just think it looks better to the consumer as well, customer. It looks like you have abundance of stuff. If it's just all spread out, I personally feel like it don't look quite as appealing.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to Food City or Kroger or Ingles and walk through their produce section, especially their items that are slow moving. They're going to be stacked up vertical on a small shelf, um, so it looks bigger though. It looks like you've got a 7-foot wall of kale.
Mhm.
And in action, it's, maybe 5 bundles of kale. So they can keep it looking fresher, also that way.
Yeah. There's something about the abundance. Like I know that I've seen at markets, if you have like the last thing of radishes, like no one will buy the last radish.
Oh yeah.
I will because I'm like, oh my gosh, please. But
No, no one will buy it. Toss
psychology
it.
wise, people are like,
toss it.
absolutely not. So it's just so funny. Like if you have just stuff scattered around, like we could probably do a whole thing on like the psychology of all of that. But Emily, did you have anything else to add?
No, keep going. We'll keep going to the signage. So important.
Yeah, so we'll move on to signage and branding. And again, just the abundance that we've already talked about is shown in these photos that Merle and Steve have sent us, and the vertical stacking. So just perfect examples of what we've discussed so far. But Merle, how can farmers make their booth signage stand out while maintaining a clean and professional look?
Good question. Yeah. Well, I think signage is important. Sometimes I don't do very well. As you can see on that picture, I have that banner in the back. Good logos are important, I feel. I didn't have that particular logo at first, and a couple years in, I redid my logo. And just the thing of the logo, people after a while put your product to that specific logo. I don't know how that all works, but it does somehow. Um, and pricing, that is very important to me as well, that every item is priced by each item. I do not like going to a market or even a festival and whatnot, and you have to ask every um, booth what their price is in their stuff. I'm like, just list it. I want to be able to see it. So that I feel like that's very important to if they can see the price right there, that they don't have to be asking. And I guess that would go a little bit with keeping the flow going as well. That if you're going to have to be answering all these questions, what price is of everything, that's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, great perspective. Steve?
Oh yeah, I agree wholeheartedly on having everything priced. I know even as as a shopper at a farmer's market, if a vendor doesn't have their items priced, I won't buy it
It drives me
because,
crazy. Yeah.
because you just don't know. I mean, I've been at some farmers markets where I've suspected that the farmer was charging different prices to different people. So I just want to keep everything above board, and if I want to give a discount to somebody, I can. But I think keeping everything priced, keep it looking fresh and clean. Um, a lot of times, if we have something new at the market, we will bring maybe a recipe card, if it's something unusual. Because we're going to try to grow a couple unusual things right now to take to the market this year. But so I'll have to bring recipe cards to tell people how to cook them, because I don't think many people have used these vegetables around here. So we'll see. I'll let you know what they are when I get them in the ground.
I know. I was like, can you tell us? Because I'm already excited.
Not yet. Let me get them. They're still in the greenhouse right now.
Okay. Okay. I'm
It's
super
been,
excited.
huh? I think it'll be good. I mean, um, but yeah, I think having a good variety. And one thing, and Becca, if you're going to be at the Johnson City Farmers Market, make sure that they know that you are the farmer that grew that stuff. Um, Jonesboro and Depot Street and Greeneville are all, farmer grow everything. But Johnson City, some of your vendors there are bringing stuff in from other places that they did not grow that stuff. So it's real important to have signage that lets that, your customer know that, yes, you grew it, you picked it, you cleaned it, and everything, that you were a full part of it. And that's why I have on, you see in this picture here, it has "Who's Your Farmer?" And I got that from Pick, Tennessee. And I would always, when I would sell at a market that I knew that I was not, that I had competition with, a reseller, I'd make sure that everybody knew that I was, I grew it myself and picked it and cleaned it. Because, you got to make yourself have an identity at the farmer's market so they remember you.
No, that's so important.
I know it's a cost, but I personally love the banner signage behind or on a booth. And I think there's a certain amount of, like for new growers starting out, it's a certain amount of just embracing your professionalism. What you all do is extremely professional. It is a professional, it involves training, it involves lots of administration. And so it's like you're embracing that, and your signage, I think, reflects to a customer that you have a professional operation. And so this produce can be trusted to be really high quality, to be really fresh, whatever the values of your farm are. So I personally love when you embrace that, like, this is my vocation, this is my calling, this is my business. I think signage really reflects that
Yeah.
to me, psychologically.
Merle, what perspective do you have?
As far as the signage part,
Yeah, and we can go ahead and move into the next series too. You can answer this. Like, is there anything essential that should be included on the booth signs to attract and inform customers? I know that we've kind of named it, but I just want to like see if there's anything specifically that comes to mind. And then have you all noticed any trends that have increased your customer engagement?
as far as what for information, I found that at least for my beef, like I put on my sign that it's regeneratively raised. That has caused people to ask, okay, what is that? And when I put that on there, I was thinking that a lot of people knew what that meant, and it's amazing how many people have no idea what you mean by that. So that brought in some conversation. As far as my vegetables, I don't have just a whole lot of details on signage on that. It is actually one of those things that I keep thinking that I should up my signage a little bit more and do some of that stuff. So I that's about all I can think of that I do currently.
Great.
As
Thank
far
you.
as trends there, either I haven't really experimented with that a whole lot, or what has increased customer engagement, except for that regenerative raise thing that has brought in some of that. So
Okay. Steve, did you have anything to add on those two questions?
No. I mean, I haven't had nothing major trending. I think when we sell our Becky's dyed fabrics, we get a lot of questions from that. How did you do that? You know, how did you get this color? A lot, you know, not so much with the vegetables, you know, they might say, well, trying to think. Yeah, with the vegetables, there's not a whole lot of questions unless it's just how do you cook this? You'd be surprised how many young people don't know how to cook. I mean, I guess maybe not, but there's a lot of folks who just don't know how to cook greens anymore. It's not a big thing. Or eating kilt lettuce. I mean, I've seen even vendors that don't know what kilt lettuce is. You know, it's just one of the things that we grew up on when I was growing up. So
I do know about kilt lettuce.
new one for me when I started selling lettuce. I still don't like it, but anyway.
That's awesome. And I did just want to elevate Steve. I love in this photo the tin that you wrote on. Like,
yeah.
maybe like my crafting it, like creative brain that's into that. But I love that you used, what are those? What?
Well, we've used a lot of different things that, you know, when our first farmers market that we ever did, I wish I could have found that picture. We didn't have a tent. We had two outdoor umbrellas that we covered our little table with. And we used the old school board, little handheld chalkboards, the little black. And so we wrote our prices on those. Then we changed it up. We started dropping them and breaking the chalk, the slate. So we went to these tins, and these are all they're tins for roofing tins. And how Becky got them, I don't know. But, you know, we use those. And a lot of times what we'll do is these are actually written on the tin itself, but I will take brown paper now and tape it to those tins, so I can change the price depending on the market, you know, and what prices are going for. Because, you know, I guess we'll get into pricing later, but, you know, I check what farmers market prices are in the area on the UT's website.
Cool. Thank you all. And again, some of this we've touched on, but we can dig a little deeper as you all see fit. But I love these two photos that were submitted. It just, the abundance and the color and the beauty is just so good. But yeah, so what are your top strategies, Merle? What are your top strategies for displaying products in a way that highlights freshness and quality? I would love for you to touch on the cucumbers because I see them at Boone Street Market and they're always wrapped and they are not refrigerated. And I feel like sometimes people are like, wait, what? Why are they wrapped? So I would love for you to maybe elaborate why you do that.
Sure, that's a good one. So these are the English cucumbers, and the English cucumbers have a really thin peel. So then with that, they don't last super well if you do not wrap them. Or these here, with wrapping them like that, they last for a couple weeks. And I don't actually recommend refrigerating them because of that. And I've had a store already refrigerate them and then bring them out and set them on the counter. And then they would sweat and then they for sure didn't last long. So if you do refrigerate them, keep them in the refrigerator so they don't sweat like that. So that's the reason I do the English cucumbers that way. I have some of that question as well. Some people don't like all the plastic. Some people like to try to stay away with that, and I get that. But then, in the same hand, quality and freshness is important too. If I don't do some of those things, it's going to be hard to keep that freshness. Kind of the same way with the lettuce. That lettuce has a root ball there, and if I put that rubber band around it and wrap it with plastic like that, it helps keep the moisture in there. And I had customers tell me that they had lettuce for 3 or 4 weeks and they were still eating on it. So that's some of the tips there with that.
Awesome. And it actually looks like Jake Hubbard was able to pop on, and I just saw his message in the chat. I'm so sorry, Jake. But this is another farmer that could share some perspective as well. He's driving. So I will let him maybe chime in just for a second to give us some insight. Jake, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Jake Hubbard. I'm the owner of Brookhaven Farms. We sell grass-fed beef, grass-fed lamb, pet milk, raw dairy, eggs, meat birds, pretty much every protein you can think of. So that's what we do. We're set up at the Johnson City Farmers Market, Jonesboro Farmers Market, and Kingsport Farmers Market. So we have teams running all those 3 markets. And yeah, everything that Merle and Steve have said, plays a vital role. And I think being successful, we're definitely haven't been at the farmers market as long as a lot of people have, but it's been our 2nd year, and we found a lot of success last year in the farmers market, and looking forward to a good year this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for getting on the call. I think it's great to have a meat specific vendor perspective too. So I will loop you in moving forward to provide some perspective from the meat standpoint. But yeah, again, I think we've touched on most of this. Do you use color coordinating themes? I think we've talked about that. How do you balance aesthetics and practicality? With this slate of questions, does anyone have anything specific that they haven't touched on that they want to add? But I think
one thing you might want to think about is, especially with your leafy greens, your lettuces and spinaches, keep you a spray bottle of cold water. Because as soon as that sun pops out, they're going to not going to be happy. So, so you keep things looking fresh, spray them with some water that will help make them look better. If you do already have them in a plastic bag, make sure that bag is open. So when they do start to sweat, that when they evaporate, you don't want to have condensation inside that bag. And just keep your area swept and cleaned up. You don't want to have a lot of you don't want to have a bunch of debris on the ground around your tent.
Mhm. Yeah, and I will elevate because I ran Boone Street Market for a few years and I learned a lot about how to display product, especially product that's there for long periods of time and the spraying and all of that. I tried to do all of that to make it look abundant and fresh. There is a business of farming conference that ASAP puts on in North Carolina that I found really helpful because when I came into Boone Street Market, I knew nothing about any of this. So for anyone that has extra time, that's a great place to go to get some of these details that Steve and Merle and Jake are sharing. So, because this is an hour course, but really it's quite elaborate and there's a lot more to be learned. So, cleanliness and organization. Jake, I'll go ahead and let you go on this. What are your go-to tips for keeping your booth neat and organized? And how do you manage restocking or rearranging display without disrupting the customer experience?
Yeah, so cleanliness and organization is something that I realized when I started the farmers market last year. I started out of a backhoe pickup truck with one chest freezer, and found out really quick that without some more room or means to organize my products, I was just building a big line of customers because I was so slow at getting in the products. I'd have to do a box jump just to get in the back of my truck and get my product. So we have went to using box trailers with 3 freezers and like a residential size refrigerator inside my trailer. And so kind of the way it works is we have a tent kind of pushed up against the back end of the trailer. And then as customers order, we can walk in there and all of our freezers are labeled with all of our different products on the outside of it. So even if I'm not there, people can just look at the top side of my cooler and kind of know what cubby things are in and where things are at. And then 2, I think just kind of going back to your branding and your signage. If you have high quality signs and branding, and we have branded tablecloths and signs, and try to orient those things to where it's not overwhelming to the customer, but looks inviting. So yeah, just having the right equipment to organize your things, having the proper infrastructure in place to where you kind of seem professional and you can get the things quickly. Because I think it's a lot of it is about how people perceive your cleanliness and your organization. And if things are seamless when they order, exactly where something's at, exactly what stock you have on hand, it makes the customer feel like you really know what you're doing, even though I think we can all agree some Saturdays we're so busy, we don't really know what universe we're on. But if you can keep things organized and get to them quickly and know what you got on hand, then I think that portrays that really well.
Awesome. Merle, what do you have to add?
Yeah, as far as the cleanliness side, I try to stress that to my employees too, that with produce you have a little stuff that may break off or fall off, just greens or leaves or whatever. Just keeping that picked up, cleaned up is very important, I feel. And just, organization thing there. I can feel for Jake a little bit there with the meat side. With him being in coolers, try to manage all that. Sometimes I started to do different bags inside my coolers to kind of have my different things in each bag that kind of helps be able to find it better and that type of thing. I just wish there would be a better way to display meats at a farmer's market, but it's just kind of complicated and hard to do that. But that there, I just have a sign of what I got and the prices and so forth. And and the thing of restocking as well, that can be a challenge sometimes for me with my produce. Depends how busy I am, but I just try to find little breaks in customer flow and try to restock and as much as I can and reorganize it. At least with tomatoes, I stack them up kind of, and once people start picking through them and they start, yeah, they might get flipped over or whatever. But if I have a chance, I'll just go and reorganize it, fill it back up. And yeah, some of those, I had some markets already that my stand looked pretty empty because I was so busy. And Elizabethton a couple years ago was really bad for that one day, that I just had to stop taking care of customers and just go put more product out because I just couldn't find a break. And if I wanted to sell it, I had to put it out. So that can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but it seems like customers kind of understand, at least when you're really, really busy and there's not much product out there, they want it. So you got to put it out.
Awesome. Thank you. Steve, do you have anything to add?
No, just you restock as you go. If there's a little lull in the action, you just try to get it out then. Always, there again, like Merle said, keep your area picked up and cleaned up. I think another thing too is when you go to the market, it's okay to wear the clothes that you worked in or work in, but make sure they're clean. Even yourself, you want to make sure that you're clean. You don't want to have, cow manure on your blue jeans. When yes, you may have went to feed the cows before you went to the market. Go home, change clothes. Before you head to the market, make sure that you're as clean as your food is, because there's nothing more that will hurt your business than you being messy too.
That is such a good point.
And I've seen that happen, at other markets, and it's not a good thing that they ended up, they don't get any business when actually they may have a really good product.
Yeah, that's actually happened at a market that I went to, and the person running the booth was very messy and the table was messy, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable buying this. So there's a lot of validity in that for sure. So we'll shift to customer engagement and experience. And Steve, you can go ahead and start here, but basically just how do you create a welcoming and approachable atmosphere that draws people in? Any visual cues? I don't think we've touched on that. Visual cues or interactive elements to encourage the conversations. And then in reverse, are there any mistakes that you have navigated over your years?
I think one thing as far as customer engagement is talk to your customer, just acknowledge that they're there. Even if you're talking to a customer, wave at a new customer. Make sure that you make some eye contact. Try not to be on your phones. Be aware of what's going on and who your customers are. That can be hard sometimes because I'll look at my phone to try to post a picture on Facebook and not see a customer, and that's a mistake that I've made. So but just engage, and you'll find as you do markets, the longer you do markets, you'll get what you call your regular customers that come to see you, and they come to you first and buy what they want, and then they'll see what else is in the farmer's market. You'll see that a lot, especially I saw it with myself. We've had several customers. They come to us first, and then they hit on all the other vendors.
Awesome. Merle?
Yeah. As far as engagement, kind of there what Steve said about just being friendly, having a smile, acknowledging the customer, maybe ask them how their day is and so forth. And I know that for me, it can be a challenge sometimes when I have a line of 5-10 people waiting to be checked out, and I'm trying to go through as quick as I can. But I already caught myself almost barely even looking at them because I was just doing my thing. And And that's one thing I try to do is at least look up once or twice and look at them in the eye and acknowledge that they are there. I feel like that's important. And I know I get sometimes tired after a market like that, at least towards the end. Maybe it starts slowing down and stuff, and you just want to sit down. But that's one thing I try to encourage even me and my employees. I'm not saying I'm always perfect at it. And at least if there's customers there or customers walking by, just standing up instead of just sitting there and acknowledging them. I think that does a lot if you're there, if you're standing up and ready, looks like you're ready to serve them. I think that's important. I guess I didn't really think about the phone thing a whole lot, but yeah, I could see that that would be very important as well.
Yeah. Jake, do you have anything from the meat perspective?
Yeah, so when we first started doing this, I felt like the only thing we had was going in our favor was personal engagement. You know, young kid shows up at the farmer's market wanting to sell meat. And so I kind of came up with a hook that I could use to get
Because I don't know
people
if
to
y'all
come
can
to.
tell it, but yeah, Jake looks like he's 16.
Well, I'm 24, so
It's not, yeah.
but anyway, so I came up with this hook of free eggs. So everybody that would walk by, I would say, "Hey, would you like some free eggs?" And they were like, "Well, sure." And I was like, you know, when you buy a chicken, you get free eggs. And so we ran that hook for all of last year at our different markets, and you know, it helped me get people to come up and talk to us about what we had going, and kind of what we were doing. And then two, what's helped me a lot. Well, I made the mistake of trying to work the market by myself, and I just couldn't do the talking and the checking out and the packing the order all at the same time. So what we did was we purchased PSA mobile systems, kind of like you see at some different retail stores that, you know, like Chick-fil-A, for example, they kind of walk up to your car and can take your order. So we purchased a few of those. And if the line gets busy, you know, we'll send some people out through the line and take their orders, and they can just check out right there. And then two, that helps with our inventory, because at the end of the day, it prints out a pick list, what to restock our trailer with for the next week. So we're able to automate a lot of those things. And we can keep track of historical data of which market did the best, or, you know, maybe we don't need the help until certain times of the market. Maybe we can have high school kids come at 10 o'clock and they don't need to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, or things like that. So trying to be efficient in that way, but really just having a good time with your customers and joking around with them, and then building that relationship with them. And I experienced it last week at Kingsport when it was our first week back, that, you know, just seeing all your customers from the year before, and you guys all have your little running jokes and things like that. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I would say just try to find for new people, what helped me the most was the hook. And then you become known for something. You know, they don't always remember my name, but I'm the chicken man that gives away free eggs.
I love that. That's genius.
Yeah, so eggs have gotten pretty high, so we quit doing that. But yeah, they still remember it though.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so we're getting to the point of wrapping it up. So we're going to touch on a couple more things, talk about social media and online presence. I know that all of you all have social media. So we'll go ahead and get Merle here. How can farmers use photos of their booths to enhance online presence, drive foot traffic, and what tips do you have for us?
So I feel like social media and online presence is very important. Um, I don't feel like I'm an expert at it. I am currently doing my own social media. I did have one of my sisters working for me at one time that she was doing it. I feel like she does a better job at it than I do, but she's not with me anymore. Um, then I tried sourcing it out. That didn't really work very well for me. Um, But yeah, currently I'm just doing the best I can. But yeah, social media and online presence is about my, excuse me, is my main advertising. I do very little advertising elsewhere. I did some in the past, but I'm coming to the point where my business is growing so fast, and it just keeps increasing that I about can't keep up with the increase. So I'm like, why pay for advertising? But just a social media and online presence is still important, even when you're growing that fast. I know a lot of people find me through my website. So this is not really farmers market related, but um, I do sell chicks and stuff here at the farm. That's a lot of that goes through my website. Um, and it just makes a smoother process for that and keeping track of inventory and that type of stuff. And as far as like how much pictures help and advertising the markets, it's a little hard for me to know that part because I know the markets do advertising as well. I'm sure it does help, um, but as far as how much, I'm not. It's a little hard to tell. Some of those things with social media, it's really hard to know. Like, are those people coming because of that or not? But yeah, I have Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is my biggest one. Um, Instagram, I have a few followers on there, but not just a whole lot. But I think to me, I think it's important to keep both of them up.
Awesome. Jake?
Yeah, so when it comes to social media, Merle said pretty much everything I was going to say, but I think one thing that's important to remember is in just pertaining to the farmers market in general. I think it's something you have to work on year round with your social media presence to kind of have that be effective. Like if you post, hey, we're going to be at the farmers market. If you don't have a big following and it's not going to many people, then it really doesn't matter. So I think you just have to be consistent. We're not very good at it. Um, uh, Honestly, like we could be a lot better. That's probably the main place we're struggling. But at the same time, we're like a lot of farmers, as Merle said. Like we're just so busy that it's hard to. We're not really at the point to where we can justify, hiring somebody full time to just do it and do it the way we want to do it. So we just kind of settle down on it and do what we can. And we have a lot of followers on TikTok, and we have like 50,000 followers on there, and Facebook and Instagram. I don't think we have that many people following us, maybe 1,000 or so. But and then too, having links at your booth to your social media somewhere that they can find you. A big thing last year, what I was trying to do is we had a lot of great success at the farmers market, but if I didn't retain these customers through the wintertime, I was going to be pretty disappointed because they felt like a vital role to our business. And so that's what we did. We tried to stay in contact with them on email list or social media and post things. And we have a YouTube channel and trying to do those things. But I think it's super important. I think that as times keep changing, I think that we're going to have to, as farmers, get better, or me personally, get better at social media because that's kind of where everything's going if it's not already there. But I think there's a big movement storm brewing in local farms buying from the farmers market, and if we can kind of create that farmers market vibe on our social media pages, then I think people will really buy from us because I think it's kind of the cool thing to do right now. So
Yeah, great points. Steve, anything?
Well, basically the only social media we do is Facebook, and I will post pictures of my display in the mornings before the market's open. And a lot of times, if I've got something special that we have, something that's just come in season, might take a picture of it from the night before, maybe pile up some beets on a table or onions or potatoes or whatever, and take a picture of it and say, hey, we'll have this at the market tomorrow, and let people know. Other than that, we don't have a website or anything like that. We're very small, and we're shrinking anyway. We're actually getting smaller, trying to figure out that road to retirement. So, but that's about it.
Awesome. Well, we want to go ahead and move to Q&A because we have taken up this full hour with all of this amazing information that you all have provided. So
Yeah, you guys are on fire. You can tell that you think about this.
yeah, I mean,
know
what
that
an
you care
amazing
about this and think
site.
about this.
So, but I know that we have some people that shared some photos. So, I guess I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, Emily. Is that what we should do since you have the photos?
Yeah, let me share photos of someone who's joined us, Jill Odell of Honey Blossoms Farm. She sells flower bouquets and honey and bee products, and she was brave enough to share some photos for some feedback. And so here's Jill's booth. And Jill, if you want to, you can come off mute and you can explain this adorable setup. This is so this is so cool, this wagon setup. I see your vertical stacking, I see your pricing, I see your signage, which were all things that were talked about today.
Yeah, it's pretty well for us so far. I just started last year at the farmers market and doing this, and I actually originally this was going to be like a farm stand cart outside of my house and be like a little mobile because it's on wheels so I can pull it in and out. But honestly, where we live, people just aren't going to come out here. I've tried it a little bit, so we decided to join the farmers market, and my husband has to kind of bring it in on a trailer, but I think it's worth it because it draws a lot of attention and everybody thinks it's really cute. And I mean, even men, like older men, come and they look at see how it's built and talk about the structure. So they really like the stand. But
that's so funny. That's an unintended, drawing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really like it. So, and it shades the flowers, so it helps. We do have we finally got a tent, but at first we didn't even have a tent. We just had this, and we do have a tent now, but it does, I think there's probably ways I could do it. The signs maybe need to be a little bigger, and I don't have a banner like a lot of people do. So I thought about getting a banner, because I have a little table that sits beside this. You can't see it in this picture, but where I do, help people and money and all that stuff. And I have some little extra flowers that I can't use that are either short or just can't use in the bouquets. And I give kids like 2 or 3 flowers and that's like a free thing for them.
Yeah, let me show everybody how Jill draws in people with that interactive element here. So she puts this, come on kids, make a free mini bouquet. And so she's cut the zinnias here with the short stems, and it's a way to draw kids in. I think it's a genius idea, Jill, of what you do with all those stems that bend on the way. And I think that's really, really, really genius. My kids would run up and then I'd be standing here and in front of your flowers. And my only advice is maybe each bouquet could somehow be labeled with a price. So I don't know if you have a stick in the vase with the price on it, or a clip on the vase, on the jar, something like that.
Yeah, even though I have a sign that says how much it costs, people always ask me that. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not displaying that very well. So you're right. Maybe I could put like a little, I don't know, like you said, a stick in there just to see. Because I try to just kind of keep it simple and say, they're all 20, and if you want the vase, it's 25 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep it. I did try 2 different price points, but it seemed like everybody was buying the higher price point. So I just kind of made it more simple for myself and just kept it at one size and one price. And but people, even though I have a sign that says that, they still ask me how much they are. So I think I need to do that better. too. And I do buy the stem sometimes too, and I'll put buckets in front. That I just didn't have a lot, so I kind of put it back there in the shade. But I will put buckets in the front of the cart, like sunflowers, things like that, and people can buy those by the stem. But
oh, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful booth. And now I'll know where to find you. I mean, I will come to the white flower stand.
thank you.
So yeah.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that booth. It's great. I guess I just want to open up the floor because we are right at time and I want to be cognizant of everyone's time that has been spent already this past hour. So any questions or final comments for our amazing farmers that have shared all of their wealth of knowledge today?
I have learned so much today. Thank you all so much for putting this whole series on. As first year market farmers, I really didn't know what I don't know what I'm doing. And this has given me a lot of ideas to chew on. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing all of that.
I love seeing how each of your booths actually is a product of your own farm philosophies and your ethos. And you can see it in certain ways. The way Brookhaven Farm has its tablecloths and its aesthetic with the trailer, the way Green Pasture has the crates, the way that Steve integrates the art with the produce. I think that's why Ashley and I asked you all and were attracted to you all, because your booth represents who your farm is. And that is how we build relationships with you as your customers.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I definitely look to all three of you as pillars of what like a beautiful market display should look like. I definitely am always like drawn to your booths and I love buying your product and I know that it is clean and is, top-notch quality and care. So definitely know that, I mean, I notice it. I'm sure other people notice it. So thank you so much for all of the time and energy that you put into that because I know it makes a big difference.